Hey, I guess I'm just a little boy from New York originally, and I grew up next to the Bronx. But anyway, I love Texas brisket now, and I've gotten pretty good at making it. I got my Texas Hondo smoker, which is really cool. It's got the bin, put the meat in, and then it's also got a nice smokestack and then a side box cooker on the left hand side. I make my own rub. It's all organic. And anyway, I hope you follow me through this. I think you'll really enjoy it, and if you follow the recipe, this stuff comes out really good. And to all my buddies in New York, hey, get on the stick. You got to get into Texas briskets. Is where it's at. Alright, I still like my Italian food, so yo.
Well, you can see now that the brisket.
Now notice this brisket is pretty uniform. So except for one area where it's maybe 3 inches, it's about a good 2 inches throughout the whole brisket. Sometimes you get a brisket that has a rump side that's very thick. Well, some people, what they'll do is they'll cut it in half and then do each side separately, not to overcook the other side. But with this one, we'll pretty much point it at the heat side, the thicker side. So should work out pretty good, hopefully. Well, you can see now that the brisket has absorbed a lot of the rub. So now it's time to build a fire and put it onto the smoker, or what we call here in Texas a pit. And so as you can see, I have some oak wood that I bought, and also some charcoal. I pretty much start my fire with charcoal. Now this is what's called a Hondo, Texas Hondo side box pit, and you can see on the side it has a where you build your fire, and it's got a door that I can open and close for cleaning purposes. And also you come over here, and this is where you're going to cook your meats or fish, and you don't want a lot of smoke. You want what's called blue smoke, because black smoke's going to tarnish your meat. You want something that's light, but you want good heat coming through here. So this is where all, and then of course your chimney. You got a chimney here, and that's how you regulate. And then your temp. You want a temp of between 250 and 300. 250 much better. The lower and slower the better. Well, you can see the oak is starting to burn on top of the charcoal. So that'll be the last of the charcoal that I use. And pretty much use now oak. And I'll be closing up the door soon, and we'll get a nice convection through there. And then when she heats up to about 300, I put the meat on. Then when the meat is on, I lower it to 250 and kind of keep that up for about 10 hours for 10 pounds. Well, the smoker's starting to heat up, or the pit's starting to heat up, and you can see now the convection coming through the chimney. But that smoke is very sooty still. We want a clearer smoke, an opaque smoke. Not so, we want it clear, not so opaque. We want smoke to be so you could see through the smoke. And let's see what our temperature is. We want to get it up to about 300. Alright. And you can see how that rises after I opened it up to look at the meat. And it's sometimes a little tricky to get it right at 250. So yeah, really nice smoke now. You can see see right through it. It's got good smoke qualities. So that's what we want. You want the quality of be able to see through the smoke. You don't want it to be too dark. Well, we're a couple hours into it now, and you can see that I just moved around the wood, and we got a good flow going through there. Let's go check the temperature. That's right where we want the temperature. Our smoke is a little thick, but that'll clear out because I just moved the woods around. But you want a temperature of about 250. And we're going to look at the meat now. You can see the meat is starting to get a little bit what we call a bark on it. And that'll darken into like a mahogany color, like a dark color, really dark, and it's going to be surrounding, and that's all the rub and the smoke and all the good stuff getting together, caramelizing, just really making it nice. I put a little aluminum on it sometimes, especially in the beginning, not to get too much of a bark on one side. I like an even bark, and that's where the fire is. I didn't cover it or anything, just kind of like a baffle. Well, here it is about 8 o'clock at night, and it's been on for approximately 10 hours. Let's go check the temperature. And what I'll do is I'll take the brisket off around 193, 196. That's what I got my temperature gauge set to. Then I'm going to put it into foil and put it in a cooler. And what that does is it continues to cook a little bit, but it breaks down the collagen inside of the meat and makes it really tender. So my neighbor turned me on to that. That's a really good technique. They call it foiling. And then you throw it in the cooler and just let it, you know, no more smoke, no more direct heat, indirect heat, and that's it. So we'll check it in a minute. In Texas, we like to put red onion on our brisket too. Some people like it without. I like it as a garnish. And a lot of people use white onion, but I prefer red. That's the brisket, just came out. Now I'm going to wrap it. Brisket came out pretty nice, very tender. Got a nice smoke ring. You can see that line around underneath the bark. So now we have to taste test it. You're going to cut it diagonally. Okay, we had the brisket on for about 10 hours. Then we put it inside the cooler in the aluminum foil. My neighbor Paul turned me on to that. That really works good. And what it does is that continues to cook and breaks down the collagen in the meat. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If we look at this meat, we could see, look at how easy it separates. So it's very broken down, and it renders a lot of the fat down too, which makes it really tender. Let me try it. Incredible. Very good.
Yum, good, very good. Good.